What's going on YouTube? I'm your host, the Gym Slasher, back at it again. Appreciate you. Hit the like and subscribe. Without further ado, want to get right into it. This is just competitive, being competitive. This stems from my short that I had on USC and Notre Dame and that ending the rivalry. So I just want to expand on that because I think it's really important to really elaborate and explain why the ferocity, why the, I guess I wouldn't say hate or anything like that. I don't use any words like that, but just the discontent from USC fans as it pertains to Notre Dame, or as it pertains to the Notre Dame USC rivalry. And I think it's important to elaborate and talk about that just on a bigger scale. And like I said, Carson Palmer has weighed in, a USC alum, great Heisman Trophy winner. Keyshawn Johnson, another USC alum, great. Multiple other USC alums have all raised their concern on ending the rivalry. So if you don't know, I'm just kind of bring that back in. USC and Notre Dame both agreed to end the rivalry because they just couldn't get into an agreement. They will come back, at least from right now, we're told they'll come back allegedly, 6 years from now, 5-6 years, and renew the rivalry. So there's going to be a 5-6 year gap in between the time they kind of come back. The biggest argument the USC was making was saying that, hey, now this college football playoff thing is coming around, or now that it's here, there's the fact that USC plays Notre Dame late in the year when they go at Notre Dame, they believe that can cause some problems in terms of a loss. If they was to lose against Notre Dame that late, they don't have a whole lot of time to try to make up that loss. And so that's going to be fresh on the voters, the selection committee. It's going to be fresh in their mind that, in theory, if USC was to lose. So the retort on that, the backlash on that is, USC and Notre Dame, they're competing against each other. So Notre Dame have just as much at stake at that, just as much as USC has. So be that as it may, USC felt like Notre Dame, if they just get 12 or something like that, I think it was 11 or 12 wins because they're independent, they can get an automatic bid. So their argument is, okay, yeah, even if they already got 11 or 12 wins going into that game, they can take a loss more than USC can. That's the USC argument to that towards Notre Dame in terms of winning and losing. The backlash and the push that USC has gotten from fans, from alumni, from college pundits, and myself included, and anybody else across this, social media and mainstream media is, it seems it comes off as cowardly. And I'm a USC fan. Been born and raised in Los Angeles. I love all my LA teams. So I'm saying that with my biases with USC, it does come off cowardly, and it brought a bigger thought in my brain to elaborate, to talk about in terms of competition and competing. And I've done a couple of videos on this a little bit, elaborate on competition and compete, and competing is a must, you got to have it. But I also think, because this was brought up, and like I said, Keyshawn Johnson, I think he had the biggest, the most efficient argument to that on the terms of, as a fan, as an alum, on the competing side. From my perspective, I'm just looking more on the philosophical side, the more broader spectrum of competition and competing. And the thing about it is this: there's always somebody that's going to want what you want as well, right? In terms of something that's worth something is worth competing for. Because if it's worth something, somebody else also values that as importance. So very rare are you going to see an instant if, let me give you an example. if I was to say, just this is hypothetical, I don't have it, but if there's an announcement to come over and say, hey, the first 10 people that come to this XYZ bank, they're going to get $5 million. I need 10 people. First 10 people to walk in my bank, I'm going to give them $10 million off the bank, off the rip. By the time that goes out and hit the airwaves, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be a multitude of people sprinting down to that bank, coming far and wide, depending on the time and the deadline or whatever. There are going to be people fighting. There are going to be people pushing, trying to get there and try to be the first, 10 people lined up. So the fact that when it's something that's worth something, you're going to get a lot of people or a multitude of people to get the same thing that you want, which is expansive in terms of professional sports, right? Top tier job professions, when it's something that's high that meets in terms of salary, in terms of popularity, in terms of entertainment, in terms of everything that comes into what you want as a job, what you want as a goal. There's somebody else is also saying those same things that they want. So when you have a multitude of people all vying for the same thing, you're going to have competition, and competition breeds high quality people, because whoever comes out of that knew that they had to work themselves to get through that, knowing they had to compete with other people and sharpen their iron, and iron sharpens iron. So when you come out of that, you come out with ideally the best person for the position, or the best team comes out of it when you're thinking as collective. In college football, you have a college football playoffs is going on right now. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2026 to everyone. Right now, you got a college football playoff all vying for that national championship. You're seeing the best of the best, that's on that playoff tournament competing, right? Everybody wants the same thing. If we had this same ideology, and I hope we don't, I hope that don't continue, where, you have USC, I hope that's not expansive to where other teams go, well, I don't want to, if I'm Alabama and I go, well, I don't want to go against Auburn because it's too late in the year, it's rivalry, and they're too, I don't want to chance it. That wouldn't make sense. If Michigan and Ohio State all of a sudden go, yeah, you know what, I don't want to compete with each other because it's too late in the season, and this, I don't want to chance it. Oregon and Washington, or, rivalries, or Texas and Oklahoma, and Georgia and Florida, and, Florida State, Miami, and those schools going against each other. We cannot go down that rabbit hole of being afraid or thinking the opposite of winning. I wouldn't want it any other way. I want you at your best, and because I'm going to be at my best, and we both have something tangible that we're both wanting to achieve. Let the best team, let the best person, let the best group win. And that's just it. You have to have that competition. You got to have that, and knowing that somebody else is there also looking at it, or looking at the same thing that you want, and you have to put the work in and go into there believing that you're going to win. And sometimes you don't, sometimes you do. That's just part of it. That's life. That's anything. Anything that's worth it is going to be competition. What you're looking for is fair play at the end of the day. That's it. Outside of that, you're just going to go ahead and compete. You're going to fight for what you would want. So I didn't want to make this too long. I wanted to expand and elaborate a little bit more on the competition and my frustration with it just happened to be one of my favorite teams that's doing this. If it was anybody else's team, I'm jumping on them as well. I don't like that mental mind frame of I don't want to because I'm scared. My first thought is if I lose. You can't have that. And coming from the top leadership level, that's what makes that alarming, right? You have to give the mindset. Now, if you want to talk behind closed doors and go in, hey, let's change the schedule around because I just don't like, I can see to an extent of where you're going with it. But when you say that out loud, this is the push that you're going to get, and rightfully so. The competition of it, of fear of loss, that cannot be in the forefront of why you want to change the schedule, right? And what that does to a team, what that does to your players, what that does to you, it illuminates a lot. It illuminates a light on, you're not comfortable and you don't have the confidence in your team. You at USC, that's a USC powerhouse. USC is a powerhouse, like Alabama, like, and they're a blue blood school. You know what I'm saying? Similar to, like I've mentioned before, the other schools and so forth, right? Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Nebraska, Notre Dame, you know, Texas and Oklahomas of the world, right? Florida States, those schools come to your respective, if you're a fan of college football, and any one of those schools come to your stadium on a road game or a bowl game, they're going to show up in numbers and it's going to be a big draw, because they're historically a really strong school. So you don't ever want to see your favorite team saying, nah, back out of a competition. And you don't ever want to be around people in terms of that, in terms of competing for something, to just back off. That's just not it. And even in the space that I'm in, the space that we're in right now, myself, is being on this YouTube. It's highly competitive, and the name of the game is put the work in, right? And compete and hope that, eventually you come around and you're successful. But you have to compete for it. I have to put in work. I have to put in the time. I have to put in the energy. I have to put in the effort. And I understand that. And guess what? The people that are doing their thing, they're putting in their time. They're putting in their work. And I have to respect that and compete and let the best person. And it's not for one thing, right? It's not for one tangible thing in terms of social media and this, but to be relevant, to be relatively popular, right? You have to put in the work. So with that being said, competing is necessary. Competing and being competitive is a must. Competition is a must. Anything that's worth anything somebody else also wanted, somebody else is putting the same work, if not more than you. So you have to make sure you put in that work. So with that being said, I appreciate you. Who are you? What is your mission? Thank you, and I appreciate you. For that being said, go. Peace.